Hey up, it's Steve from the Old Yorkshire Geek, and I know I've started a little bit early, but I wanted to have a quick talk about a death that happened, I think it was yesterday, or the day before, can't remember. Ruggero Deodato, I'm probably mispronouncing that, the director of films such as Cannibal Holocaust. I mean, that's all I know him from, but I know he's done other films as well. He passed away yesterday, and his most famous film is Cannibal Holocaust, which is a shocking movie. We'll look at some images, shall we? Whoop, whoop, where are you going? Where are you going? I'll just make this bigger. We'll look at some pickies from Cannibal Holocaust, shall we? There we go. Using the idiom of Google image search. But anyway, yes, I remember seeing Cannibal Holocaust probably when I was too young. It came out when I was about 13, but I was a bit older than that when I saw it, and it was disgusting then. Here's the covers for it, which could cause problems with YouTube, I hope not. But and then I didn't see it for years and years and years, and I saw it as an adult, and it was still disgusting. But, you know, disgusting in, you can't say in a good way, can you? Because it's not the sort of film you enjoy, is it? I think people that say they enjoy Cannibal Holocaust are probably a bit puddled. But anyway, it's a nasty film, but it's a well-made film, and it's, a lot of people say it's a found footage film, but it kind of is, but it isn't really. It's about half found footage. But anyway, it's about a film crew that go to the Amazon, South America somewhere, I think, and they cause problems with these two tribes. One of the tribes are cannibals, or maybe both the tribes are cannibals. I can't really remember. And they end up getting eaten basically, and and all sorts of nasty things happen. There's real, actual animal deaths occur in the film. Which is probably one of the most. It is the most shocking thing in the film, isn't it? Actually killing animals in it, which I don't like to see. Kill as many people as you want, because that's not real, is it? But it's also famous as the film for the director being accused of actually killing people, which of course he didn't do, and he had to show the actors that had been killed in film, to produce them in court, these actors, which he did, to show that they hadn't been killed, and he showed how they did the effects of killing them and all that. And well, come on, move on then. You're going to move on to the next one. There we go. And obviously he got off because he didn't actually kill anybody, but killed animals. Didn't get done for that, or maybe he did. I don't know. But it's been banned in a lot of places. I think it was banned in the UK for quite a while, but it's not anymore. But it is one of the most disturbing films you'll ever see. The effects are gruesomely realistic, and the director of that film has passed away. I don't know how old he was. Oh, there we go. Oh, 83, it says there. Ruggero Deodato, director of controversial film Cannibal Holocaust, dies age 83. So I just thought I'd mention that before we start. We'll keep looking. It was remade, wasn't it? I can't remember the name of the film now. They actually did a found footage version of it recently. It wasn't as good, obviously. But then it inspired the Green Inferno. Is that right? I forgot his name. Him that did the Hostel films. What's his name? I can't remember. The director of those, he did. I think it was called the Green Inferno, which I've not seen. I've seen a clip of it. With a fella getting, hacked up and bits of him eaten, and that was pretty disturbing. But I can't imagine it being as bad as Cannibal Holocaust. But anyway, so just thought I'd mention that. Still got 5 minutes to kill, so to speak. But yeah, the director has passed away. There's a great if you go on Facebook and on Instagram mostly, and Twitter, and he's got a website as well. If you go look at I forgot the name. I'm going to have to look it up now. Tell you, my brain when I'm doing these live streams. It's a horror photographer But I forgot his bleeding name. And I bet I can't find him. I bet I can't find him now because I'm... Horrify Me, that's it. It's just come to me. If you look up Horrify Me on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, and he's got a website. I think it's probably horrifyme.co.uk, but I could be wrong. But he does horror photography. You can book a session with him and get all done up as however you want. You know, you don't have to be gruesome, but a lot of people go for the gory stuff because that's what he's good at. And he did a recreation of, the famous woman with the pole through her. He did a recreation of that, and it looked amazing. But obviously, it's not for everybody. But go check him out. He's got a book out. I think he might have two now, or he's got a second book coming out soon. And he does calendars and stuff like that as well that you can buy, full of gruesome stuff, lots of blood. But anyway, yeah. So there we go. So I just thought I'd mention that. I don't think I'll ever be doing it in. There were the thingy. The lady with the pole through her. I don't think I'll ever be doing Cannibal Holocaust in Friday Night Appointment with Fear because it's a bit much, even for me. It's going to that, doesn't it? Anyway, so get rid of that. So we'll do away with that. So I just wanted to mention that before we start. Tonight's film is going to be End of Days. We'll look at End of Days starring Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's not the best film ever made. I've just finished watching it. I remember really liking this when it first came out, but it hasn't really aged well. But it's not bad. It's okay. But we're doing that. How close are we to 9 o'clock? It's near enough, isn't it? It's near enough. We'll start, shall we? I'll get the intro up, and then we'll make a start on the film. So are you ready? Here comes the intro. Right, I'm back. I'll make sure I'm streaming. Make sure it started. Has it started? Yeah, it started, and I'm not in trouble yet. And it says excellent connection. That's marvelous. So, End of Days. It's what's it described as? A action horror film, action fantasy horror film, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, directed by Peter Hyams. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. But Peter Hyams is one of those directors that he doesn't get a lot of credit for some of the great films he's done. Look at his list of films he's done. They're probably films that you've seen. Hang on, where are we? His most famous early one was Capricorn 1. The famous, fake Mars landing film. Conspiracy thriller, that's a great film. He did Outland, starring Sean Connery. That's a great film. He did 2010, starring Roy Scheider. Another great film. What else has he directed? Directed The Presidio. I think that was Sean Connery as well, wasn't it? But I've not seen. Time Cop with Jean-Claude Van Damme. Directed that. The Relic. Directed that. And after End of Days, he went on to do The Musketeer, A Sound of Thunder, Beyond a Reasonable Doubt, Universal Soldier Oh no, he didn't direct that one. And films I've never heard of. He's also written, quite a lot of films he didn't direct. Or maybe he hasn't. I'm lying. But anyway, so there we go. So that's Peter Hyams. I think he did he write and direct End of Days? No, he didn't write it, but he directed it, and as he did with quite a few of his films after 2010, he was a director of photography as well. So he not only directed it, he shot it as well. But anyway, the production notes for End of Days tell us, according to Wikipedia anyway, that directors Sam Raimi and Guillermo del Toro were offered End of Days, but turned it down due to other projects. By the way, the budget for this film, remember it came out in 1999, budget for this film was $100 million, which were a big budget film back then. I mean, it's not to be sniffed at these days, is it? But back then, that was a big budget. I think it's probably Peter Hyams' largest budgeted film, $100 million. Remember, the same year, Phantom Menace came out, and that budget for that was $115 million. So, not a great deal more. Anyway, then Marcus Nispel was going to direct the film. I think he went on to do stuff like, did he do Texas Chainsaw Massacre and films like that, I think, the remake of that. But he left because of budget and script problems. $100 million were a budget problem, was it? Anyway, replaced by Peter Hyams. The role of Jericho Kane, could have a much more biblical name, was written for Tom Cruise, but he chose to work on Magnolia. A film I've never seen. I've never seen Magnolia. And and Arnold Schwarzenegger was then cast in March 1998. Liv Tyler was the first choice for the role of Christine York, but she declined over contractual issues. I've never really liked Liv Tyler. A lot of people say she's amazingly beautiful and stuff like that, but, I don't think she is. And I don't think she's the best actress in the world either. I mean, to me, she's more famous for being Steve Tyler's daughter. But anyway. And then Kate Winslet was then set to play the character, but she dropped out. Would I like to see Kate Winslet in the role? But anyway, Robin Tunney replaced her in a pretty much forgettable role. Actually, pretty much all the actors in this film are phoning it in. They seem to be, to me anyway, apart from Gabriel Byrne, who chews up the scenery and is the star of this film, really. What else? 60 visual effects shots were created by Rhythm and Hughes. We've got Miriam Margolyes in this film. She's like a British national treasure. She's famous for speaking her mind live on television these days. But it says here, as early as 2016, actress Miriam Margolyes had complained about Arnold Schwarzenegger's behaviour on set. In 2022, Margolyes' reports caught wind again. Ha ha! You'll know in a minute. When she accused Arnold Schwarzenegger of deliberately farting in her face while on set. Schwarzenegger has yet to respond to the allegations. I did not fart in your face. But he probably did. And I bet she farted in his face as well. Because she looks like she likes a laugh. Anyway. Right, so that's the quick notes of the film. Right, let's get the film up here and we'll have a look. As usual, I'm not going to watch the film. I might play the odd little snippet, but we're not going to play the film from beginning to end. It's going to be, I'm going to just still screen, whatever, through it, screenshot through it, and we'll do it that way. Wherever put it. Right. There it is. By the way, don't forget, like and subscribe. Drop in if you're watching live. Join the live chat or whatever. Share the video and all that stuff. I'm on Facebook. Blah blah blah. Right, where is it? Right, off we jolly well go. Right, off we jolly well go. Blank screen, but not for long because it's a universal picture. There we go. One of my favourite logos is that. But I like the old one that used to say an MCA company. That one's my favourite of all time. Why? Don't know. Right, Universal Pictures and Beacon Pictures present Arnold Schwarzenegger. End of days. There you go. Oh, I forgot to mute it, didn't I? So I'll get into trouble. So here we go. It's got Kevin Pollak in it. Oh, actually plays quite a good role. CCH Pounder. She's in everything pretty much, isn't she? And other people. Oh, Margolyes is when you see him, I was laughing at the end of the film as well. Well, not the end, but neither. When you see him later on in the film, he plays the Pope, and he's in a wheelchair. And all I was thinking was Hector Salamanca with his bell, because that's who Margolyes is. I don't think he's related to Miriam Margolyes. So anyway, we've got the credits. Isn't it strange to see credits at the beginning of a film these days? I know this is from 20 odd years ago, but never mind. Director of photography, Peter Hyams. Directed by Peter Hyams. Here we go, Rome. And a comet over the moon. And then we see a priest. And I know his face. Let me have a look, see if we can find it. Put a name to him. Cast. Thomas Aquinas is the name of the priest that we're talking about. Derek O'Connor. Doesn't ring a bell. But you've seen him in stuff. He's got, you see his face, you think, oh yeah, I know him. Anyway, he sees the comet over the moon and thinks, oh, that rings a bell. So he goes and looks in some ancient scriptures and sees a picture of it. So there we go. So then he heads to see the Pope. They're the Vatican guards. What they call them? They're called Swiss guards or something like that. Something like that, isn't it? With their silly costumes. But, they'll kill you if you get too close, I suppose. They are trained soldiers. These aren't, they're actors, but anyway. There we go. So anyway, they're talking in, I presume it's Italian. I don't think it'll be Latin, but it'll be Italian, won't it? But when was the last time we had an Italian Pope? I don't know. So there he is, Hector Salamanca, not ringing a bell because he can talk. So that he's telling him, he's seen the sign. So she's going to be born, the one that's going to be the wife of Satan and all that. So a baby's going to be born that to either kill or protect. The church is kind of split on that, as we will see. But the Pope says, no, we've got to protect her. Don't ring a bell. There he is. I think he decides that they've got to kill the child, to save the world or the universe even. But the Pope says, no, we've got to protect her. By the way, we know this is... we have a passage of time because that fella there's got dark hair. When we see him later on the film, he's got grey hair. And so is Thomas Aquinas, actually. Don't know what they called him that for, Thomas Aquinas, because Thomas Aquinas was a famous, 13th century philosopher, wasn't he? So maybe it's his name before God or whatever they're doing in the church. Because they don't have the real names, do they? They have the superhero names, don't they? Anyway, I charge you, find the girl. So that's what he's got to do. He wants to kill the girl. The Pope wants to protect her. Then we cut to New York. I think it's something like 6 hours later. Or it might be 6 hours earlier. 6 hours later or earlier, I can't remember. And she's been born, is this baby that they've either to kill or protect. And we see Miriam Margolis when the baby's born. It's a girl, by the way. The baby's born. There's Miriam Margolis. She's a baddie. She's a baddie in this. What's the name of her character? I can't remember. I'll just check. Mabel. Oh, right. Mabel. By the way, I said Mark Margolis and Miriam Margolis aren't related. And another reason why they're not related is their surnames are spelt entirely differently. Hey. Go away. Sorry. I'm just clicking an update box just appeared on my computer. Typical. Never mind. Not a Windows update, a software update for something else. Right, so she takes the baby, does Miriam Margolis, and goes down into the basement of this hospital in New York, and they do like a satanic ritual. We see Udo Kier, who's been in lots of films. Oh, pardon me, burping already. So they get the baby. He kills a snake. There's Udo Kier. There he is. You've seen him in like Blade and umpteen films. He was in the Iron Sky films. I always remember him riding a T-Rex on the moon and going, Heil Hitler, motherfucker. It was funny with that. Best lines in history. But there he is. Anyway, he gets a rattlesnake out of this jar, kills it. What's Peter Hyams got against snakes? And rattlesnakes in particular, by the way. Because he had a rattlesnake in Capricorn 1, didn't he? That James Brolin killed and ate. Anyway, this one dies as well. But they put the blood on the baby. They feed the blood to the baby. There he goes, look. She's loving it, look. Then she takes the baby back, gives it to the mother. And I thought they were going to kill the mother, but they don't. She survives another couple of years at least. But I think they do kill both the parents. But it don't tell us how. We know that by the time the film proper starts, both parents are dead. And Miriam Margolis is the stepmother to this baby, who we find out is called Christine York. By the way, the baby's got a birthmark on its arm, a bit like a Laura Dannon in Willow. She's got a birthmark in like a weird shape. Right, 20 years later, it's a few days before New Year's Eve, 1999, and the radio people you're hearing the radio and they're saying, it's going to be the biggest party of the century and all that. And there's a new millennium and the new century. And technically it's not. Technically the new century begins on the 2001. Well, the first day of the 21st century, because there were no year zero. It went from 1 BC to 1 AD. So there you go. There were no year zero. Anyway, so it's showing New York. Shots of New York. And we see these workmen. And this one chap says, a build-up of pressure or something down there. I don't know why or what it is. Well, we do know what it is. It's the devil. What's he doing in the bowels of New York? I don't know, but he's there. We get all sorts of rumbling look and stuff starts falling and then explosions start happening. There you go. Quite a big set piece, actually. I don't know if this is done on an actual street in New York or a back lot. I don't know. But it's quite a big set piece. Lots of explosions going on, look. And then we cut to Gabriel Byrne. I'll see him here. There he is. Gabriel Byrne. He's playing a New York businessman. We never find out his name. He's just, in the cast list, he's just called The Man. But he gets possessed by the devil. But we see him here. He's going into a restaurant. There he is. He sits down with, I presume it's some sort of business partner. And his business partner's wife or girlfriend, I don't know. But the devil came out, when all the explosions were happening, by the way, the devil came out of the ground. But we didn't see him. He was like invisible, a bit like a predator. On roller skates, it seemed, because he was like gliding across the road. They're supposed to be invisible, but you could just like make him out. For some reason, I'm not pausing on it, am I? It's not showing us. Do we see it here? There it is. Look, there he goes. There he goes. Whizzing down the road. Anyway, Gabriel Byrne decides he needs the loo, so he excuses himself, goes to the restroom, as they call them in America. So he heads in there. The devil follows him in, and then the tap stops for some reason, because the devil has power over plumbing, it seems. And he turns round and he sees the there you go, in the mirror. A bit like The Frighteners, just reminding me of The Frighteners, Peter Jackson's. There you go, in he goes. He throws him about a little bit. There you go, as he's possessing him. Anyway, so he's totally possessed, and then he comes out. He's not the same man now. He comes out and he grabs hold of his girlfriend or wife's bosom and gives her a good long kiss. And he says, "What the hell?" And then he gives him a stare. Look, I am the devil. I will do what I want. And then he carries on and then walks out. And off he goes. She didn't seem to mind. But then as he's coming out, the restaurant explodes. Why? Don't know. It just does, because the devil was in it. Oh, you can't see there, but just behind my... we might see him. Oh, no, look. There's the Twin Towers, the World Trade Centre. It's behind me red things over there. Over there. Where am I pointing? I don't know. Over there. On the right hand of the screen, but you can't see him. Hey, rest in peace, Twin Towers. Right, we're in Arnold Schwarzenegger's pad now. his apartment. I presume it's an apartment. Everyone has apartments in New York City, don't they? But remember, he's called Jericho Kane, the most biblical name in the world. Jericho, obviously, the city, the walls of Jericho and all that. Not the wrestling move by Chris Jericho. But they call him Jerry for short. And obviously Cain, Cain and Abel, one of the sons of Adam. Cain killed Abel. So they're giving him the name of Adam's murderous son. But anyway, he's in. Sorry, picture quality is not the best, is it? But never mind. Can't do anything about that. So there he is. He's just woke up, or whatever, or he's been sat up all night. Don't know. But he gets his gun. Basically, is Mel Gibson's character from Lethal Weapon, because his wife and daughter are dead, and he wants to die too. He goes checking his gun, and he's going to put the gun to his head and kill himself. But then his partner arrives, and just in the nick of time, and so he don't kill himself. So his partner arrives, says, "Right, we've got a job to do." By the way, he's an ex-cop who now works in private security. He's a bodyguard, basically. So his partner arrives, Kevin Pollak. Name of his character is Bobby Chicago. They're all named after towns, aren't they? Jericho, Christine York, Bobby Chicago. Who else? Have we got any others? No, we haven't. Just them three, but never mind. So I lied. They're not all named after towns. Where were we? So he arrives. So then, obviously, he's not looking after himself, is Jerry. Even though he's Arnold Schwarzenegger and built like a brick shite house. But he's not looking after himself. I wish I don't look after myself, and I wish I looked like that. But anyway, he puts some coffee and a protein shake or something, and bread and I don't know, all sorts of stuff in the blender. Oh, Pepto-Bismol, not protein shake. Puts it all in and has a good drink of it. There, he puts some sort of alcohol in as well, because he's got drinking problems, ever since his wife and child were killed by gunmen who broke into their apartment, as we'll see later on. It is replayed for him. There he goes, finds, is it a piece of pizza or garlic bread or something? I don't know what it is, but that goes in as well and gets blended. He says, they say breakfast is the most important meal of the day. So drinks that. Bobby doesn't want any. Right, so they're off to work. That's the HQ of the security firm that they work for. They're looking after a businessman who turns out to be Gabriel Byrne. So they've got, security cars and stuff, and helicopters. So obviously, it's not a nickel and dime outfit. So here they go. So they're doing this. This fella here. This is the albino. What's the actor's name? Victor Vanado. I wonder if he's related to what's her face? Mercedes Vanado, aka that wrestler. It's Boss Time. Sasha Banks. I wonder if he's related to her. Probably not. Anyway, he's weird. Anyway, he's got a weird. He plays a good part in this. He's not in it a great deal, but there you go. He's got a weird physog, hasn't he? Not to mention odd hair. Anyway, he's looking as the limo pulls up with Gabriel Byrne in it, and Arnie and Bobby in their cars, and they're checking the roof and stuff. And then Arnold sees that there's a shooter on a what do they call it, fire escape. He sees that, and the shooter starts shooting, but Arnie saves. There it is. There's shooting. Saves Gabriel Byrne, shoves him back in the car, and he drives away. Pushes a taxi out the way, gets the fella, and Arnie got shot. Jericho got shot, and anyway, he legs it, does the shooter. And they're saying, "What's going on?" And Bobby says, "Oh, no, you didn't forget to wear your vest." It's obviously he didn't forget because there's no blood. There'd been blood everywhere, wouldn't there, if he'd been really shot? But then he sees that he remembered his vest, so he gets up. So they go after the shooter. Remember, they've got a helicopter, so they don't have to go climbing up fire escapes. They get in a helicopter in a moment. Here it comes down. Remember, $100 million budget, so you see where money went. Here they get in the helicopter and fly up to the roof. And he dangles on a rope, as we will see. Going to dangle on a rope and chase this fella, who turns out to be Thomas Aquinas. 20 years later, as an old man with no tongue and stuff. I wouldn't say he's riddled with cancer, but he ain't, is he? Or he might be. I can't remember. But I think I'm getting mixed up with the priest in the Omen. He was riddled with cancer, wasn't he? Anyway, a stuntman that looks nothing like Arnold Schwarzenegger dangles out of the helicopter. If it had been Tom Cruise, he'd have done it himself, wouldn't he? But he didn't. Look, there you go. So the rooftop chase with a man dangling from a helicopter and another man running. Arnold Schwarzenegger in front of a green screen. Anyway, it grabs him in midair. But then he drops him. He's got a gun, drops him. He falls through thing and survives that fall, gets up and runs off. So Arnie drops down. Notice he's got that rope attached to him, and then suddenly, let's see if it shows it. He's got that rope attached to him. You don't see him undo it. He's running. He's still got the rope attached. Look, and then at some point, he's unattached the rope. At some point, I think we see him next time we see him. He ain't got a rope attached to him. There you go, he's running now, no rope. So obviously he got rid of that at some point. Make sure because you've got to be careful here. No, we're safe. Right. Where were we? Right, so he's chasing him. Where does he chase him to? He's chasing him into the subway, but I think it's a disused part of the subway. Chase him down onto the tracks. And he says, put your hands up, you're under arrest, whatever. And Thomas Aquinas shouts at him, he's come back after 1,000 years, blah, blah, blah. But it turns out he's no tongue, so how can he be saying it? But he does say it, 'cause we hear him. But nobody believes Arnie. And Arnold shoots him. Don't kill him, shoots him in his legs. There you go, puts him down. So I will put you down. So he does, shoots him in his legs. There he is. He's not dead. He goes to hospital. So they call police. I think Bobby arrives. Oh, we find out there he's a priest. We found out his name later, Thomas Aquinas. And he checks his wallet. It's no money. The only clue is, I don't know what it is, to be honest. It's like a book of matches or something. Or something. I don't know what it is. But it's got a name on it of somewhere he goes. It's a clue that he doesn't give to the police. Here's CCH Pounder, as her character name is Detective Marge Francis. Oh, pardon me, sorry. I might be burping a lot. If you watched my video earlier on today, I went into a bit of detail about I've not been well these last couple of days. And I've had a bit of iffy stomach with all this, Christmas excess. So I've got a lot of intestinal problems at the moment. Anyway, CCH Pounder. She's the police officer. Obviously knows Jericho and Bobby. But turns out she's a baddie later on, as we will find out. So they're talking here, and she's saying, stay out of police business, and obviously they don't. There we go. Spotters, bar packaged goods. So that's where they're going. I think it was a book of matches, a match book. They still do them. I don't know. So he goes and asks some questions. I think he wanted to find out where Thomas Aquinas lived, and he does find out. So they go check that out. So they head down into this dilapidated area, and they find Thomas Aquinas's. I can't really call it an apartment. It's a basement flat or whatever, but it's a bit squalid, isn't it? And they see all these sigils painted on the walls and stuff. And there we go. I am. I can't read it. We'll see in a minute. As Thomas Aquinas' spare dog collar. There we go. Oh, look, a pentacle. They found his tongue, by the way. Remember, they found that his tongue was cut out. He actually got it in a jar in his room for some reason. We'll see it in a minute, I think. Obviously, all the religious paraphernalia, because he's a priest. There we go. I have seen the earth laid to waste. I have seen the horror to come. And 27, I think it's Revelation, chapter 20, verse 7. I think it's Revelation, probably is. Probably is. He looks it up in the Bible later, anyway. Oh, there we go. There's the jar with his tongue in it. Why is he keeping it? I don't know. But he is doing. There you go. It looks quite fresh, actually, doesn't it? But maybe he just cut it out. And he said, why would you cut your own tongue out? And Jericho says, to stop talking. I thought, well, obviously it didn't work because he spoke to you, didn't he? Stupid man. It's not the best script in the world, by the way. So let's see. Oh, there's a cat in the fridge that scares him. Don't know how long it had been in there, but it jumps out. It was fine. And they find in the fridge another jar with a photo in it. Why do you keep a photo in a jar in the fridge? I don't know. If you do know, tell me. What the reasoning behind this would be. There we go. There's the jar. Oh, no. And let's have a look. Is it going to show us? There we go. A photo of Christine York, Robin Tunney. That's who Thomas Aquinas was trying to protect. Remember, other members of the church are going to try and kill her later. So she doesn't know whether she's coming or going, this poor lass. So here she is. She's going to the grave of her father and mother, Thomas and Martha. I know it is. It's Thomas and Marie. I don't know, but I couldn't resist. Father and mother. So Thomas died in 1984, and I think Maria died in, is that, I can't make that out. Is that 1983 or 81? Can't make it out. Can't make it out, 'cause my eyes are crap. Right, so she's laid some flowers at the grave of her parents. Meanwhile, Jerry and Bobby are still checking out Thomas Aquinas' flat, apartment, and Detective What's-Her-Face, whose name I've forgotten already, she comes bursting in. There we go, with all her goons. But there you go. So they have another chat. Stay out of police business. No. Right. Christine's on the subway. Here we go. So she sits down, and then we see the albino, and he sees her. She just happened to sit down near him for some reason. I don't know why, but she did, and he sees her, and he gets up. I don't know if he's got anything to do with Gabriel Byrne or these people that are, this cult and the church, and I don't know if he's got anything to do with them, or if he's just supposed to be like a homeless person who's like sensitive to all this stuff. A bit like in Prince of Darkness, Alice Cooper and all them street people that were sensitive to what the devil was getting up to, the Prince of Darkness. Maybe he's like that. I don't know. Anyway, he stands next to her and smiles at her. She gives him some money, and then he says, he's coming for you, Christine. So he knows her name. He says he's going to, play nudie prod games with you. The F word, he says that. I'm not going to say it. He says that, and she says, get away from me. And she grabs hold of him, and then she's going to give him some money. And she grabs hold of him, and then he turns to like porcelain for some weird reason. There we go. And he just shatters. There we go. Shatters to the ground in, a slightly crappy CG effect. I presume it's CG, or it's not very well composited anyway, is it? But, it was good for the time, I suppose. But anyway, there he is, look, and he's all broken, and he's still smiling, he's still swearing at her, saying he's going to, yeah. Obviously talking about the devil. Of the devil. But, and then she's screaming and stuff like that, and it turns out it were all a vision. It wasn't real. There you go. There's nothing there, look. So she apologises to the other people on the train that she's just scared. So she goes home. But this isn't her home, I don't think. No, we've cut back to Jericho. He's arrived home. What's he doing now? I think he's going to look up for his Bible in a minute. There we go. Gets a box down. There's a Bible in it. He wants to look up that 27. But he finds his daughter's music box. So he has a little... we see Arnold Schwarzenegger doing a bit of acting, being a bit sad. There he is. Notice there's a bullet hole in it. So he plays it, and then has a little bit of acting going on. But anyway, then later on, there we go, 27, and when the 1,000 years are ended, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison. So 1,000 years have passed, and Satan's been loosed, because we've seen him earlier on. So he's thinking about that. Right, Christine's got home. Miriam Margolis is there. The butler. Is the butler... Hang on, is the butler... what's his face? I forgot his name now. That died recently. It doesn't say on that. I'd have to look on IMDb. Just bear with me. I know we're live, but I look on IMDb. I forgot his name now. He died recently. That comedy actor. Oh, God, what's his name? He had that voice. It probably ain't him. It'd be somebody else. Let's look at IMDb. What does it say? What does it say on IMDb? I don't know, because I don't know the name of the character. We'll click on all cast and crew. I don't think it is who I thought it was. Hey, where are we? Where's it gone? Why you clicked? Oh, God. I hate IMDb. I do. It gets me dead mad. You click on stuff. It's gone on something else now. No, it hasn't. I'm lying. Right. Right, name of the butler. I don't know the name of the butler. Could it be him? Might be. I don't think it is who I thought it was. Actually, thinking about it, it looks nothing like him. But anyway, never mind. Right, back to the film. We see they're well off anyway, because they've got a butler. She says, I've just got to do something. So she runs upstairs and she gets on the phone and she ends up talking to Udo Kier, who must be a psychiatrist, because she says, I've had visions again. He says, take a Xanax. You'll be fine. There he is, look. Miriam Margolis says, you've been having the visions again. Whatever. So they have a cuddle. But she's a baddie, and so's Udo Kier. Meanwhile, I think Arnie's gone to see Rod Steiger. There he is. Rod Steiger in playing a priest in a church, phoning it in, like pretty much everybody. But he doesn't seem to want to help. Arnold says he's not very religious anymore. He says, why? He says, well, I wanted my wife and child to live, but God had other ideas. So, there you go. They had a difference of opinion. So they part ways. It doesn't really tell him much. He says he knew Thomas Aquinas. And he said, he wouldn't try and kill anybody. And he says, well, I saw him there. I was there. I shot him. He says, well, he's doing God's work. He says, what? God wants to kill a businessman? Yeah, whatever. So, there we go. There you go. So, shouting and bawling at one another. Anyway, he goes through a door, and obviously Arnold follows him in a moment. There we go. They go down this basement area where there's all sorts of religious stuff going on. There's people with stigmata and stuff. And did they do this in that film, Stigmata? They had like an area under a church where they had all people with religious things going on. There we go. Or am I mixing up my films as usual? Anyway, so these are all people having religious events happening to them because it's nearly the end of days, remember. Y2K. They even mentioned that. Oh, pardon me, I'm off burping again. Yeah, they even mentioned Y2K earlier on in the film. They say, when all the computers in the world will stop working. Yeah, because they did, didn't they? I remember it well. Right, here's Gabriel Byrne up to no good. Don't know what he's doing. He's off for a walk through New York by the looks of it. Where's he going? Ooh, a sigil. Sometimes see stuff like that around here. You're walking around and you'll see like spray painted on the pavement. I know it's workmen that have done it, like numbers and patterns and stuff, and you'll think it's workmen that have done it. But then I think, is it though? Is it some religion? Is it some satanic sigil that they leave? You never know. So here we go. So he's obviously following these, but you think he'd know where to go anyway. He's going to see Udo Kier, and that's Udo Kier's daughter and wife. And they get up to no good with Gabriel Byrne before very long. So I've got to be careful because there's a bit of nudity coming up. So I might be skipping over that quickly. So here he is. Obviously, Udo Kier recognises him as the devil. So there he smiles at the wife and daughter, and they end up in there we go. They end up getting up to no good and merging into one another. Look, all doing all weird stuff, bit like Society, that film Society. They're ripping off lots of stuff in this film, aren't they? There you go, a bit more merge. Hey, steady. Ooh, that were close, wasn't it? So anyway, so they're doing stuff like that. But then Christine. She's obviously dreaming this. He's seen this in a dream and wakes up screaming. I don't know why you'd wake up screaming. You just wake up thinking, "Oh, that was a weird dream, wouldn't you?" But she screams a lot. And Miriam Margot, this Mabel, comes in and says, "You all right, love?" Bit in an American accent. The butler pokes his head round the corner. I've seen him in stuff, but I can't remember what I've seen him in. He dies later on. Spoilers. Right, New York again. We're getting closer to New Year's Eve, by the way. We might actually be on New Year's Eve now. I can't remember. There's Arnie having his morning coffee. Don't want to shoot himself anymore, by the way, for some reason. Maybe because he's on a case. He's busy. He's occupied. Excuse me. I didn't get myself a drink. Oh, I forgot. What's going on here? Right, they're going to check on Thomas Aquinas, who's in the hospital. No, they're not. I'm lying. It's Gabriel Byrne's going to check on Thomas Aquinas, who's in the hospital. But it's in the secure part of the hospital. There's a policeman there. Look behind a security door. But Gabriel Byrne says, "Let me in." There's a Jedi mind trick on him. Or he's part of the cult or whatever. So he lets him in. So he goes to see Thomas Aquinas, and he's been all very devilish with him. He likes a cigarette because he's the devil. He can smoke in hospital if he wants to. So obviously Thomas Aquinas is scared. He knows he's going to die. So and then CCH Pounder and Arnie and Bobby come in, and they pull back the curtain. There's blood everywhere, and they look up, and Thomas Aquinas is pinned to the ceiling. And the policeman there says, maybe he did it to himself. And Arnold says, how did he get in the last scalpel? Never mind, how did he levitate up there? Never mind the last scalpel. So he went all kneeled on him, didn't he? There's no way you can hammer in the last nail. So there he is, he's up on the ceiling. So they get him down. There's a news report about stuff's been going on, obviously. There's been explosions and things and stuff going on in New York. So that's what we're seeing on the news. Nobody knows what's causing it, but it's him, it's that bugger. He knocks over this kid, turns around, this kid skateboards into him. There we go. And it's obviously belligerent as this kid because it's New York. And the kid says, hey, asshole. And then the devil says to him, I like the T-shirt, or I like the top, or whatever. Because it says, we'll see it in a minute. He goes, like at the top there, it says, Satan rules. He says, bog off, a-hole. And rides off on his skateboard, and he's going across the road, and he says, hey, kid, just says it right quietly. And the kid looks round and then gets hit by a bus. But he would have done anyway, wouldn't he? Even if he didn't look round, he'd have still been hit by the bus because he was heading that way. I presume he's being killed, but it doesn't really tell us. Right, what happens next? Something's closed, don't know what. It's where he's going to meet with Udo Kier, his Gabriel Byrne, in some sort of disused whatever. I think they call it the temple. I don't know if it is or not. Right, they've got Thomas Aquinas down from the ceiling. Don't know how, but they must have used step ladders or something like that. And they find he's got all words cut into his body. There you go. That's where they find Christine York's name. Can you see it there? There, Christine York. And they say, no, it's Christ in New York. But Arnold knows the score, and he says, maybe it's Christine York. So they decide to go and search for that name in a bit. He comes to. He's not dead. He sits up and grabs that. And I've gone too far. Grabs that, wants to stab somebody. But the copper, remember the one that's in with the baddies, shoots him. There we go. And Thomas Aquinas is now dead. There we go. Hey. So they've got to go and do a search on those names. That's what they're doing now. Driver's license, Christine York, find her address. Sex female, eyes green, height 5'4", and all the other stuff. There you go. Born on the 15th of June, 1979. There you go. Americans, stop putting the month first. Everywhere else in the world puts the day first. But no, you've got to be awkward, haven't you? Right, so there she is. She's exercising, look. And the butler comes in, him. I know his face. Can't think what I've seen him in. He says, your stepmother wants to meet you for dinner or whatever. So she said, okay. So she's going to go and have a shower, get changed. So she goes in, sees blood on the floor, and then we see he's dead. That's the butler. In the bath. He's had his throat cut. And then loads of priests come bursting in and want to kill her. So she has a fight with them. In a minute. There they go, they're bursting out. And there you go, she chucks that out the window. Let's see if I can... there you go. Throws that little cabinet thing out the window. And then hides. She's doing it to make them think that she's gone out the window. But obviously they don't. They don't fall for it. And they check the cupboard. And she's in there. She's in the cupboard. So she starts beating them with a shoe. There we go. But they get her. Drag her out. And they're going to kill her. But they can't kill her until they've done the last rites. Because the priests. Meanwhile, Jerry and Bobby are arriving outside. And they hear her screaming in a minute. There you go. Notice that outside, and they hear her screaming, so they go running in, and they immediately start shooting. Big gun battle goes on. That's the priest that's trying to kill her. Arnie says, I've got to go for the stairs, cover me. So off he goes upstairs. He's there with the knife at her throat, and he's saying, I've got to say the last rites, and for some reason, instead of just cutting the throat, he lifts it up as going to stab her. So, I don't know. Not very logical, are they, these murdering people? There you go. So, but she escapes, she wriggles out, and throws a painting at him. Meanwhile, Arnie's fighting with one of the other chaps. He ends up down the stairs, dead. Or is he? Because he disappears. Meanwhile, they're still struggling. She's doing all right, I must admit, because she's got a big poker that she's braining with. But Arnie intercedes, so he has a roll about with this chap. There we go. And the fella goes out the window. There you go. He legs it. And the fella at the bottom of the stairs had disappeared as well. And he says, wait, because she's got the poker. Wait, we're the good guys. And it turns out the others were the good guys as well, sort of. But anyway, so there we go. So they call the police. So CCH Pounder arrives. There you go. So they've got to deal with that now. And I think Miriam Margolis turns up at some point and is looking at. He sees that she's got a little music box just like his daughter had. Is this where she gets the apple, or is that later? No, I think that's later. So he's talking to her about, why were these people wanting to kill you? She don't know. Then Miriam Margolis arrives. And so he leaves. But they hang about. They're going to stake out the joint, as they say. So they're in a van. I think there's a police car as well on the other side of the street. So everybody's staking out Christine York's house. But Miriam Margolis, she sees them and she phones up. I think she phones up Udo Kier because she's supposed to be taking Christine to the devil in that place where he's with Udo Kier. But she says, I can't sneak out because they're watching the house. Haven't they got a back door? Obviously not. So Udo Kier goes to Satan and says, I can't convince her to bring the girl. So he gets a bit cross, does the devil, and bashes his head in, literally. So that's the end of Udo Kier. So he's got to go and, sort it out for himself. If you want anything doing right, you've got to do it yourself, particularly if you're, Satan. Right, so what's happening here now? They're talking in the van about stuff. And Arnie realises something. He notices that the necklace that the priest was wearing is to do with a church. I don't know. But he goes back in. He wants to talk to Christine. So he says, I've got a clue. So they go in. And Gabriel Byrne arrives. The devil arrives. And he goes for a wee. There's a police car there, look. He sees Bobby in the van. Anyway, meanwhile, Christine decides to have an apple. So she cuts her apple in half. They're talking about clues. I can't remember what. Miriam Margolis is up to no good. There we go. And she cuts her apple open. Then we see all weird things happening on the apple. Little bodies writhing about. It started out like maggots, then they turned into these bodies writhing about. But Jericho saw it as well. He saw her vision. She says, I get these visions. I don't know why. And he says, I saw it too. So that's him saying, I saw it too. And, crikey. What the... meanwhile, Bobby's in the van, reading a book. What's he reading? Can't read it. Signs of the Apocalypse. Bit of light reading. Meanwhile, Gabriel Byrne goes for a wee. Obviously, being the devil, it's black wee. And it's also highly flammable black wee. I presume it's supposed to be oil, because that's evil. So here we go. So it goes running out under the van and under the police car as well. And there we go. He drops his cigarette or cigar or whatever it was on it, and obviously it lights it up. And there you go. All explodes, and we think that's the end of Bobby. But as we'll see, it's not. He comes back in a bit. But anyway, all explosions going on. So they've got to get out of the house now because it's on fire. But then Miriam Margolis, Mabel, she turns full wicked and becomes like a Terminator as she's kicking Arnold Schwarzenegger's ass. It says. So there you go. So she gives him a good hiding. There you go. She's throwing him about. She even throws a piano at him. Are you ready? There we go. Throws a piano at him. So she's kicking 10 bells out of him, but he puts her through a glass table, and that shuts her up. But anyway, Gabriel's here now, they're escaping upstairs for some reason. Might they go out the back door? Don't know. They just don't. Gabriel walks through the fire, you know, because he's indestructible. Obviously, fireproof clothing as well, obviously. So they head out the fire escape. Gabriel Byrne finds Mabel. I think he kills her. I can't actually remember what he does. Or she might just die. I think she just passes away there or whatever. But he's saying, "You failed me." And I think she just dies. I think. I don't know. But she's dead anyway. Right, so they end up in an alley round the back. And I think Detective, what's her face? Let me look it up again. I've forgotten already. Detective Marge Francis. Hang on, where are we? There we go. Yeah, she's there with a copper. Is it the one from the hospital? Could be. I don't know. I wasn't really paying that much attention. It looks a bit like him. Maybe it's the same chap. So they've arrived and they pull a gun on him and they say, put the gun down or whatever. Come with us. We're the goodies. But it turns out that they're not. So he goes out anyway, throws his gun out, and goes out with his hands up. And then Detective Marge says, it's the girl we want, kill him. But obviously, if you watched earlier on in the film, it showed him, suiting up for with all his guns. He's got guns up his sleeves, in like holsters in his sleeves. So that was shown earlier on. So that's when we see these come out now. So they're gonna kill him. But he gets his guns out and kills them first. So they run away. But then Gabriel comes out and he says to Detective Marge, bring your people. So he's obviously brought her back to life, and she gets up in kind of a spooky way when it shows it. There we go. She kind of, rises up in a zombie-like way. But anyway, they go running off into the woods. Where they're going next, I can't remember. But they have to go somewhere. Where are you going next? I don't know. They're talking about stuff that I wasn't really paying a great deal of attention to. You're waiting for the next action bit to come on, really, in this film. The dialogue is secondary. Where they're going. This is a church. Oh, I think they're going to see Rod Steiger. Yeah, they are. Yeah, they're going to see Rod Steiger, putting a gun in his face, as you do. So I think he takes them downstairs to where all the other people are. There we go. And they're all having like visions and premonitions and stuff like that, all to do with religion and things. So they're having a talk about. He's talking all about the end of days and all that, blah blah blah. And Arnold says it's all a load of rubbish. She tells him about how she was born such and such time. She's got this weird birthmark, etc. She's going to be the wife of Satan and bear Satan's child, etc. The Antichrist, whatever. There we go. That's the symbol she's got on her arm. That shows she's marked. I can't remember if Rod Steiger wants to kill her or not. I don't think he does. But anyway. So they talk there for a while, waffling on, go on, get on. We get to the next bit. Oh, hang on. And we go back to the Pope, who, remember, it's 20 years later, he's still the Pope, but he's in a wheelchair now, without a bell. The girl is found in New York City, but he's still saying we've got to protect her, so I don't know what he's going to do about it, but he's in Rome, isn't he? Meanwhile, Arnie goes home. I think he's left Christie with Rod Steiger, I think he has. So he's gone back to his apartment and he's supping, looks like vodka straight out of the bottle. Good man. But Gabriel Byrne's there already, because he's the devil and he doesn't need to break in, he just appeared there. Chewing up the scenery. He's trying to get Arnie on his side. He's saying, you're a good fighter and all that, and, we're more alike than different, etc. And then he shows him, there you go, his kids, and what happened to his wife and his daughter. So we see it in a minute. A Christmas tree appears magically. There you go. They like the CGE effects in this. They're not quite good CG effects. As I said, we're done by Rhythm and Hughes. Did they do that, the Doctor Who effects? I'm sure they did. I'm thinking of something else. I don't know. But not exactly ILM, is it? But anyway, turns out it were Christmas. So it must be nearly exactly, so many years since his wife and daughter were killed. He obviously wasn't there at the time. But some gunmen burst in. There you go, he sees his daughter and his wife. And then gunmen burst in a minute. So he's still got his gun in his hand, but he's watching them. And then the other says, see what happened. And then gunmen burst in and Arnold's shooting at them. But obviously nothing's happening because it's not real. Oh, then he jumps through one, and the tree's real. You're watching. He jumps through the man. Look, the man just walks. He obviously doesn't see Arnie. But he hit the tree, didn't he? To make sure we're still going. Yeah, we are. Where were we? Anyway, the men grab Mrs. Jericho and young Kiddie Jericho, take her into one of the bedrooms, and you hear gunshots. Arnie goes in, blood everywhere. So he's not happy. But the devil says, I can bring them back if you'll join me. But Arnold says, no, he'll never do it. So he loses his temper, does the devil. Says, basically, Jericho's getting on the devil's nerves now because he won't give in to him. He won't be seduced, or what's the word? Tempted. He won't be tempted by the devil. So he ends up losing his temper a bit to the devil and grabs Jericho by the neck. Here we go. And pushes him out the window. Jericho shoots him, but the wound heals up instantly. So he ends up out the window. And he's hanging on with all his hands cut. And the devil says, I'll help you up if you'll join me. So Arnold says, okay, I'll do it. So as he reaches out, he pulls Gabriel Byrne out the window and sends him down into a car below. There you go. But obviously he's not dead. Oh, pardon me, I'm at it again. He's just bought himself a bit of time, hasn't he? That's all. So he gets back up. Got a nasty cut there. Puts a tea towel around it. Then there's a knock at the door. And he goes, and it's Bobby. Bobby's okay. He wasn't burned to death in that big explosion. But Arnold's, he doesn't trust him at first, and he even shoots him in the arm. Because he thinks it's the devil again. But it's not, it's Bobby. But it turns out Bobby, he is a baddie, spoilers, but he made a deal with the devil, because he was like burning in agony, and the devil said, I can make you better again, if you'll do as I say. But it don't take long before we find out he's working for the bad guys. Right, so what's next? It's raining. Where are we? Oh, we're at Rod Steiger's church with Christine. These baddie priests come. These are the ones that have been trying to kill her. See, he's not only got grey hair now, he's got no hair on top. He had a full head of hair at the beginning of the film. So she realises that she recognises some of them that are the ones that tried to kill her. But then I think Gabriel arrives in a moment. He's still saying, we've got to kill her. And I think Rod Steiger's saying, no, we haven't. We've got to protect her. But they're stopping him, look. Because he's a goodie, is Rod Steiger. And he's just about to stab her. And then Jericho arrives and shoots the blade out of his hand. There you go. He says, "I will kill you, if I have to." Never mind, it's a church. But never mind. And then I think Gabriel arrives in a moment. Yep, so all rumbly stuff starts happening. Here he's coming now. And Jericho and Christine, they run away. They go out through a side entrance. And Gabriel comes and we think he kills everybody in the church. So he gets this fella up, boing, stabs him in the head with a cross. And, dispatches the others in various amusing ways. Arnie and Christine have escaped. And gets this chap, I think he's some sort of cardinal, I think. Has he got a name? Let's have a look. Cardinal. I don't know. Is it in this one? Cardinal. Michael O'Hagan. It doesn't say his name, just says Cardinal. But I think that's who that is. Where were we? Gets him and basically twists his head round. A bit like Dracula does with Renfield in the 1979 Dracula by John Badham. There you go. See it. Hang on. See if we can see it in all its glory, because it's quite a cool effect. It's obviously a dummy, but it looks like a good head sculpt. I presume it's his head sculpt, or they just might have spun the actor around, might they? Come on, get on with it. See, everything's rumbly because it's the devil. There you go. And there he goes. He probably just spun the actor around, didn't they? Had him on a little turntable or whatever. So he's dead. And they're running down more alleys. A lot of alley running in this film, isn't there? But they see bad guys there with torches. And then some more bad guys are behind them. So they're trapped. And then bad guys come out, one at a time, obviously, and start fighting Arnold Schwarzenegger. But then Bobby turns up in the limo. And Christine gets in. And then Arnold tries to get in. But he won't let him in. And this is when we find out Bobby's bad. He's bad as Bobby. Won't let him in. So Arnold, he drives off. So Arnold jumps on the back of the limo. But not for long. But then Bobby drives off and then stops for some reason. I don't know why. Oh, yes, I do know why. He does stop for a reason. We see the baddies beating up, or trying to beat up Arnold Schwarzenegger. But it's Arnold Schwarzenegger, so he gets several of them before he's overpowered. There you go, they're all getting him. And then Gabriel Byrne arrives. Arnold grabs his gun. His gun kept getting kicked about, and he finally grabs it and shoots through Gabriel Byrne's hand, but obviously it does no good. So it says, you've lost, basically. So they're going to crucify Arnold Schwarzenegger. There we go. Only tying him up. They're not technically crucifying him. They're just tying him up. They're not hammering nails through his hands and feet. But then he's been a bit manic, is Gabriel Byrne. So off he gets in the limo with Christine, and they drive off to wherever they're going. And the bad guy, though, the hoist up Arnold Schwarzenegger and leave him there. They bugger off. I presume they go. Yeah, they do. They follow Gabriel Byrne. They end up where he is, in this temple place. But as we see, there we go. It's the next morning, so I don't know how long he's been there. We're on New Year's Eve now. I think it says something like 7:31 a.m. or something. I don't know how long he's been there, but we cut to the alley. He's still strung up there, and Rod Steiger appears. Why didn't he get killed? I don't know. I thought Gabriel Byrne had killed everybody in that church, but apparently not. Rod Steiger lived. So he gets Arnie down. Don't know how. There's Hector Salamanca again. I think he's been told we've failed, but we must have faith. While you're down there, the church. Right. Obviously, the day's gone on. What's his face? Rod Steiger. I forgot the name of his character again. Let's have a look. Father somebody or other. Rod Steiger. Father Kovac. Where are we? There we go. Father Kovac has taken Jericho back to his place, and they're treating his wounds. Revellers are all revelling, in Times Square. Oh, pardon me, see, I'm at it again. Yeah, they're sewing up Jericho's wounds. But he's got to go and deal with the devil. So that's why he's saying, I've got to go and save Christine. So I don't know how he knows where to go, but he does. Maybe it tells us in the film. I never noticed. As I said, sometimes I won't pay a great deal of attention. And I should make notes, but I don't. He heads to where he works. He works for this security firm. He don't go to the police station. He goes to where he works. And obviously goes to their armoury and kits himself out with guns and grenades and flak vests and all that stuff. Because it's Arnie and he's got to get kitted out, hasn't he? That's where he's doing that. Right, that's how he finds out where they've gone. He obviously made a note of the license plate of that limo so they can know where it is. And because it was the limo of the fella that they were protecting, so they'll know it, won't they? Oh. Right. So he knows where to go now. So he heads there. Being surreptitious, look. So he goes in, and then he finds them down in the basement doing their devilish things. He meets this fella first. Fella with his eyes sewed up. I don't know why he's got his eyes sewn up, but he just has. But for some reason, he reminds me of Argus Filch from Harry Potter. Don't know why, he just did. There we go. Maybe he's got a cat somewhere called whatever her name is, Mrs. Thingamabob. But he lets him in. He must be able to sense. His eyes are sewn up, so he must be able to sense what's in people's hearts. And he says, you've got a dark heart or whatever, so he lets him in. Oh, dear. There we go. So he's going in. Obviously, there's some train tracks, which we'll see again later. So down some more steps, way down deep in the bowels of New York City. There we go. He's going into a submarine now, by the looks of it. Oh dear. So it keeps going down into some industrial area. And there's all the baddies, and Satan's there with Christine. This is where he's going to do the deed with her, because he's got to do it by a certain time. So here he is. There she's laid out ready for it, if you know what I mean. Arnold's sneaking about, but CCH Pounder spots him. There you go. So she goes sneaking after Arnold. The devil's telling Christine he's not going to hurt her, he's going to love her, literally. But Arnold has other ideas, obviously. He kills CCH Pounder, obviously knows that she's following him. So he deals with her and then starts shooting, and everybody screams and panic ensues. In a minute, here we go. Panic ensues. So she runs off, but then she runs to Arnie, Jericho. But then he grabs her and says, don't come close or I'll kill the girl. And she goes like, what? And he goes, trust me. So, and the devil says, you're not going to kill her. And says, I will. But he shoots the devil instead. Yes, he comes out. There's Bobby. Bobby comes out and he's going to kill Arnold. But he decides not to. He turns good again. Here we go. Arnold talks to him and says, you're my friend. I said, but, I made a deal with the devil and stuff. I were on fire. And he made me whole again. And but he can't kill his best friend because it's Arnold Schwarzenegger. It was nearly Tom Cruise, but it's Arnold Schwarzenegger. And he puts his gun down, he can't do it. So the devil's very disappointed and says, well, that deal is revoked then, and sets him on fire. So Arnie goes, no, and then runs off and leaves his friend burning, just like Obi-Wan did with Anakin Skywalker. So there you go. So anyway, everybody else is running about. Arnold Schwarzenegger shoots his machine gun at the devil, and I think he shoots... I think he's got grenade launcher as well, and does a few of them as well. There you go. Blowing stuff up, just like a Bond film. Anyway, they run out onto the train tracks. All the baddies follow them. And they jump out through it. Oh my, he blows a hole in the wall and jumps out onto a live train track. And just as a train comes, there we go. So they jump out, look. And just as a train comes, so they just bob down very casually. Watch, look. Oh, look, get down, look, very casually. And they'll be like, oh! As the train goes over them. Can you do that? Probably not, I don't know. I imagine there'd be lots of sticky outy things. Well, like you can see there, look. And stuff like that would chop them to bits, wouldn't it, as it went over. But it didn't, because, plot. So the train stops, and they run up to it, and they say, get us out of here. And the baddies are chasing them, and they're shooting the baddies. And Gabriel Byrne turns up. More baddies get shot. So the train sets off. Gabriel Byrne's going to arrive any minute. Does some more baddies come first? Maybe they do. Don't know. Oh, yes, we get this scene now that's straight out of Resident Evil 2. Remember that scene in Resident Evil 2, the game, where I think you're on an elevator and you're going down to this other level, and the baddies, the monster's arms, I forgot his name now. Sherry's father, I forgot his name. Birkin, William Birkin is all mutated, and his arms are coming through the walls of the train thing that you're in the game. Well, they're just ripping that off here, as we'll see in a moment. Are you ready? There you go. So that happens a few times, and they're shooting at it, and, does it again, and there you go, shooting on the roof. And then it comes out through this train driver. I missed it, because I'm... There we go. Got his hand in his heart. Oh, press wrong button. Press wrong button. So they've no driver now. Don't know why. It seems to know how to use the train, does Arnie? Because earlier on he's showing him, saying, don't do this, and the controls. He seems to know what the controls do. So why don't he just stop the train? I don't know. But the train's bombing along uncontrollably. So he decides he's got to separate the carriages. The last carriage that they're on. They've got to separate it from the one with the motor on. So he does that. But he's stood on the wrong side because he's some sort of idiot. So he goes bombing off, but then he jumps out, look, and just manages to make it. But Gabriel Byrne arrives, looking pretty worse for wear. He's been blown up and all sorts, hasn't he? So the body's not going well. There you go. So Arnie shoots him with a grenade. And it goes bing, ding, 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 and then blows up, and all the train blows up, and there we go, and it all goes. They run to the back of the carriage, and it's all look. Oh, hang on, I've gone too far now. Look. There we go, and we ding, 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 and luckily it all stops, just before it gets to them. So they get out of the train, they're fine. The Gabriel Byrne. Is in not good shape, as we'll see in a minute. But they get out of the train just as it blows up. So they head back upstairs again. Meanwhile, we see Gabriel Byrne. He's in bits, literally. So the devil's not happy. So as we'll see, the invisible predator devil comes out now. You ready? Here he comes. In a minute. Just get on with it. So he's a bit miffed. He does anyway, trust me. Come on, out you come. just got to make sure I ain't got a copyright strike. Because it happens, if you play it for too long, they'll do it. No, we're still okay for the moment. Anyway, the invisible predator devil comes out and goes up the stairs. Here we go. It might be this bit here. Oh, he's shouting, look. He's shouting after Jericho, saying, I'm a god, I'm eternal, you're just a man, and all that. And then I think the devil comes out. There we go. Out it comes there. And Gabriel Byrne is no more. For the rest of the film, we see the devil himself. Right, where they headed. They come outside, and suddenly there's loads of baddies again. Are these the same ones that were in the church? Don't know. Not church, temple place, that underground area. Don't know. So they run into a church. It's a different church. It's not Rod Steiger's church. It's a different one, I think. So they run into this church here and barricade the door quickly. So we got to lock them out. So she goes and locks the door. He locks the door. They run in, and these are having a meeting, a religious meeting. He says, "Everybody get out, get to safety," and shoots his gun in the air. So they all run away. Where they're running to? I thought they'd locked all the doors. Maybe it must be a back door that the baddies don't know about. But they're still trying to get in through those doors. Anyway, so they buy themselves in the church. He tells her to go hide, so she goes and hides in, I think it's in the confessional, she goes and hides. And Arnie's getting ready for action, and he looks at all the statues, and then he realises he's not going to win this battle by using guns and stuff like that. So he gets all religious all of a sudden. So he looks at all the religious iconography and goes, God help me, give me strength. So that's what he does. There you go. That's what's happening here. And then there you go. All the statue catches on fire, and other stuff catches on fire, and stuff falls over. This angel with a big sword that falls to the ground. We'll see the big sword come into play in a bit. The ceiling all caves in, but luckily, that looked rubbish, didn't it? See if I can. I can't even pause on that bit then. Anyway, never mind. That doesn't look very good, does it? Obviously, that's superimposed Arnold, isn't it, on like a model church or something. I don't know. Didn't look very good anyway. And it all gets light outside for some reason. Then all the windows blow in. The roof's collapsed. Then I think the devil arrives. That doesn't look very good, does it? Never mind. And I think it... here he is. The devil arrives in not in predator devil form, in actual devil form. Slightly Lovecraftian, maybe. I don't know. But he looks okay, I suppose. So, anyway, it goes into him, I think. Yeah, it does. It goes into him, throws him about a bit. Then possesses him, as we see. There we go. It's possessing him there. And it's 11:57 p.m, by the way. And then he comes round and he calls to Christine and he says, "We've won. The devil's been beaten." But obviously not. Obviously not. So, but she believes him, but then he drags her to things, says, "No, he's the devil now." And she's saying, "Stop it." And then he starts ripping her clothes off, but without ripping her clothes off. We keep hearing this as he's ripping her clothes off, but they all look exactly the same. Dear. So, the big ball's dropping for New Year's Eve. So he's going to kiss her, but he looks up at Jesus and looks at the sword off the statue. The sword's up at an angle like that. But the devil's trying to make him kiss her, a bit like Kirk and Uhura in that episode of Star Trek. But Arnold Schwarzenegger's better than Patrick Stewart, William Shatner, because he resists and he tells her, "Run," and he throws himself onto the sword. We've got to see if we can see it. By the way, it's midnight. Happy New Year. Oh, they've gone too far. Happy New Year. Yay. 2000. Yay. All the computers stop and break all at once. Come on, Arnie. No. Oh, I've gone too far. I wanted to catch Arnie leaping onto the thing. So she runs away. There we go. Yeah, nice shot of the sword there, the tip of it. And here we go. Now, watch. This is a right jump. He must have had a little trampolines or something. Are you ready for this? Or he's on a wire. Anyway, he lands on the sword. New Year's. It's January the 1st now. The devil hasn't seduced Christine, so it's failed. So it comes out in loads of bad CGI flames. There we go. And we see the devil's face and stuff, and he's lost. So that's it. That's the end. There we go. It goes back down into hell, a bit like in The Gate that we saw, didn't we? A few weeks ago. But Arnie's dying. He sees his wife and daughter. But she sees him as well. Remember, he saw her vision earlier. She's seen his vision now. We're going to see him. Bloody hell. See if it shows him. He looks up. There we go. We see him there. Look, his wife and his daughter. They're waiting for him. He's going to heaven after all. Because they were saying all through the film, he's killed people. He's not going to go to heaven. Obviously he is. So, there we go. So, and then he dies. There we go. Dead. And Christine goes to him and holds his hand. And she's very sad. And that's the end of the film. We go outside, we see people celebrating, police cars are arriving, because obviously stuff's been happening. But most of the world doesn't know anything about this. There we go, that's the end. A Peter Hyams film. There you go, that's the end. There we go. Hey, Udo Kier was the head priest. Oh, right. There you go. Yeah, so there you go. End of Days, an apocalyptic Arnold Schwarzenegger fantasy action horror film. We'll get rid of that now. It's okay. It's all right for a laugh. Is it horror? I don't know. It's got horrific moments in it, but it's not really a horror film, is it? But it's all right. It's all right. I don't mind it. I mean, most of the cast are just they're phoning it in, aren't they? Apart from Gabriel Byrne, who I think is excellent. He steals the film. But anyway, so that's that. So it's all right. I don't mind it. I won't give it a score. What's the point? But anyway. Right, so we'll leave it there. The End of Day starring Arnold Schwarzenegger. Happy New Year. The devil didn't win, thank goodness. Arnold Schwarzenegger win because he's stronger than William Shatner in Plato's Stepchildren. He resisted kissing the woman. And saved the universe. Right, we'll leave it there. So thanks for watching. Happy New Year. It'll be New Year next week. Don't know what film I'm going to do next week. I'll dig something out. So, wherever you are, don't have nightmares. Look after each other. And until next time... Hang on. I'm just getting ready. Until next time, I'll say this.